We'll call the meeting of the Flood Diversion Board of Authority to order. Begin with the roll.
Do you want me to handle that?
Mr. Vagno?
Here.
Mr. Peterson? Mr. Thorsted?
Here.
Mr. Olson?
Here.
Dr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn? Mr. Campbell? Ms. Otto?
Did you say Mr. Pollock?
Mr. Pollock, I'm so
Yeah, you
sorry.
forgot him. He's not unforgettable.
Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Pollock.
Okay, the first item, the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Take a look at the agenda, if there's any additions, or if not,
Move to approve the order of agenda.
thank you.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. PMC report, John, are you going to take that?
Good afternoon. Hi, my name's John Glutzmeyer with CH2M Hill. I'm filling in for Bruce Spiller today. So let's go ahead with the PMC program management report. Want to start with the February and March highlights, what we did on the design work. So for in-town levees, the 2nd Street pump station, just this week, 2/3 of the base slab, that pour was completed, and they're on schedule to complete the rest of that base slab next week. So construction's moving along there. The 4th Street pump station and 2nd Street flood wall, they completed that base slab pour this week, and so they are starting on the pump station wall reinforcement, and they're just a little bit ahead of the 2nd Street pump station work. And also the design work for in-town levees. Just want to mention that the flood wall and utilities work, the design is continuing, and a 95% submittal on a portion of that is anticipated at the end of March. I'm just going to go back one here. Regarding the 4th Street pump station, there is some work being contemplated in the parking lot modifications for the high-rise building, and so a change order for that work is being developed, and that should be ready and presented to the board next month. So just a heads up on that. No action or discussion really at this point. Skipping down to the other part of the project that's under design and construction, Oxbow, Hicks, and Bakke, the ring levee. Design work for portions of the levee for work package 43C and D continue. The pump station road raises and internal drainage design is 95% complete, and they are moving towards the bid package for that work. That will be the package that gets constructed this summer. The design of the road raises is included, but that will not be part of the work this summer. The 43D gate well prefab preload, still monitoring settlement. It sounds like that's sort of tapering off and is still between 4 and 5 inches, and they're anticipating maybe a little bit more settlement, but they're real close there. So that's good news as we'll be constructing the gate well in that area this summer. And then in support of the Corps' design of the diversion inlet structure, our team reviewed their 35% design submittal and provided comments to them last month. Other highlights, still working with the DNR and completing the Minnesota draft EIS work. We're responding to their information requests, and as of this month, the draft EIS is scheduled for public release at the end of August. It sounds like that's, after a couple of glitches with getting some of the submittal work completed and some glitches with their scheduling program. The end of August seems to be a more realistic and firm number, so that's good news. Also, for cultural work, there's some ongoing Phase 1 cemetery field work for some of the cemeteries in the staging area. Field work completed so far has been for Clara, Comstock, Hemnes, Hoff, the Lower Wild Rice and Red River, and the Wolverton cemeteries. And then there are 5 other cemeteries where we are waiting for rights of entry to go in and conduct those cultural Phase 1 surveys. So a couple of slides here, pictures of progress. This is an aerial of the Oxbow-Hixenbachie ring levee work. Not, just pretty much showing that the snow is melted and there's a little bit of ice on the river and the ponds right now. Hopefully warm weather continues and we'll be able to get in there and start construction in a timely fashion this summer. A little closer up view of the home replacement construction work that's going on. There are 6 homes under construction right now. They're on schedule to be completed this spring, towards the end of May or early June, and then those folks would be moving in and their homes at the north end of Schnell would be demoed, and that's where we would start our construction this summer. Just a quick close-up shot of one of the homes with the roof and some of the tie-vac and windows on, so looks like they're moving along nicely. This is a shot of an aerial photo of the 2nd Street pump station work as of March. You can see there's plastic over the slab. They're probably keeping it warm or getting it ready for the pour. Here's a little closer shot taken this week. You can see a concrete pumper truck pumping concrete down to the slab. Looks like a pretty nice day to be out there this week. And also an aerial photograph of the 4th Street pump station work. The pump station itself is the rectangular excavation pit at the bottom center of the picture. The existing levee is to the left side of the picture, and the excavation material pile is sort of in the center, with the river off to the left. And this is a close-up shot of the slab pour with some of the testing firm people collecting samples for testing of the concrete. So priorities for March and April, what we'll be trying to accomplish is some continued permitting work with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on 404, continued support of the Minnesota EIS, and reviewing draft EIS sections for the DNR. Coordination with the Corps on several fronts, the public-private partnership development, design submittals, the cemetery mitigation plan, and the Corps' project cost update. Specifically for in-town levies, continued design, land acquisition, demolition planning, and continued construction of the pump stations. And for Oxbow-Hixenbachie ring levee, design, land acquisition, bid preparation for the work this year. Owner purchased equipment for some of that, large check valve and stormwater piping that will help alleviate some of the construction sequencing constraints, and demolition planning and construction of the houses that are in the redevelopment area. And just a sort of a summary of what we're planning to bid and construct here in 2015. The work package 43D is a portion of the Oxbow Ring Levee, pump station, interior drainage, and a portion of the levee. Demolition for that work of those 6 homes. Demolition for several in-town levee projects, El Zagle Phase 2, Mickelson levee extension, and also 2nd Street North flood wall work. Bidding for the construction of a portion of that flood wall on 2nd Street North. Bidding and construction for El Zagle, the Phase 2 levee extension and the Mickelson levee extension. And then a little bit later this summer or fall, some additional sections of the flood control features downtown, and also the levee portion of the downtown work. And CORE's up next.
Any questions for John on the action items there? Not. Thank you, John.
All right.
Terry?
Good afternoon. Monthly update for this month. We continue to work on the operation plan and adaptive management for the project, in assisting with in-town levees design and supporting construction. And we held another agency meeting on February 26th that was a webinar. I think we're approaching probably 30, the number 30 of agency meetings that we've held for this project. Cemeteries, again, the study that we did is available to the public on the website. We still are on track to develop an actual mitigation plan by June of this year. And as John said, we continue to complete the Phase 1, Phase 2 cultural surveys for cemeteries that we have rights of entry granted for. Like John said, we've done 6. 6 have granted rights of entry, and the field work has been completed. But we have yet to receive rights of entry from 5 of the 11 sites that are upstream and impacted by the project. And those are listed. North Pleasant is in Cass County. Roan Family Cemetery is in Clay, and then the remainder of those 3 are in Richland County. The folks at Cass County Joint Water Resource District continue to try to contact POCs for the cemeteries and the landowners to try to gain access so that we can complete the field work. If we don't get the field work done or the cultural surveys done, we'll still issue a report in June. It just won't contain the results of that survey. And eventually we have to get these cultural surveys done for the cemeteries, but it does not impact us issuing a report in June.
Mr. Chairman? May I?
Yes, Kevin.
Terry, on that issue, in terms of the ability to come up with a mitigation plan, is there issues by not being able to do those cultural surveys that could have an impact on what type of mitigation would be done?
We'll still have a plan for each site in the report. What it restricts is actually implementing the mitigation. But for instance, if we were to build a berm around a cemetery and you have to do excavation or move things, you have to have the cultural survey done before you could do anything like that, any kind of mitigation. Maple River Aqueduct, updates to the physical model are almost completed, where they're actually making changes to the model, and we're getting ready to start running the model again. In mid-March, an ice study will be completed on the new layout of the spillway and aqueduct and associated features. If anybody wants to come and visit the aqueduct while it's up and running again, There's an opportunity on March 19th, but we need to hear from you that you're going to come so that we have the appropriate staff there to conduct a tour. So you can call Brett or call me, email us, and let us know that you're coming. We'd be glad to meet you down there and take you through it. Another thing that will happen with the model is conducting a flume study to evaluate flow conditions for aquatic wildlife. As far as alternative delivery goes, we continue to work with Core Senior leadership on this plan, and we feel like we're really making strides in gaining support for implementing the project using P4, P3 alternate delivery.
Ken?
And ultimate delivery refers to the P3, P4
Yes,
concepts? Okay.
yes.
Go ahead, Tim.
Just one question on the Maple River Aqueduct. So now you're saying you made your design changes. Would we see smooth sailing with that now? I mean, before you had the turbulence and such, so basically it would be smooth?
Yeah, what they ended up doing is changing the spillway location. Instead of coming off the Maple River kind of at a 45, it's more of a direct shot. Yeah, some of the potential scour areas have been addressed. It's modeling well, and so now what they're going to do is look at the ice and see how that flows.
Could you maybe do a smartphone app, something like that? Just show us a short video of that. For those that have seen it before, we noticed the difference, but I don't know that I want to go all the way down to look at it. If we could just have you show us the new one with and pretend there's ice on it and see what happens. So.
Yeah, thank you for that. We're working on that, getting a video set up. We'll see what we can take videos and stuff. Of course, as they do the ice analysis, they're going to take their more scientific videos so they can do that back in the office. But
Well, if you put it on a smartphone, it'll look pretty good, I think.
yeah.
So again, the physical model is located in Rosemount, Minnesota. So if you want to drive down, please let us know. We continue to coordinate with the DNR on their EIS process, and I think John Glatzmeyer kind of briefed on that. Oxbow Hickson Bocce levee design continues and prep for construction for this upcoming season. In early February, on February 6th actually, Major General Weir visited the area to talk about the project, and here's some photos from that event. I think it was very beneficial to him and Core leadership and the congressional folks that attended that this meeting was held. Future activities on March 26th, there's a hearing on the lawsuit. Northern landowner meetings, I believe, are tentatively scheduled for April 9th, and the Corps will be there to support the preparation and the holding of those meetings. And that's up in the northern end of the diversion, reaches 1 through 7. Again, assisting with preparation for spring construction and in-town levees in Oxbow, Bocce, Hickson. Project Path Forward, EIS, drafts coming out in August still, and continue to look for ways to improve the project. That's the end of the briefing.
Any questions for Terry? Okay, thank you very much. Eric?
Good afternoon. Just an update on the lawsuit. Terry just stole all my thunder. There's a hearing on March 26th on the lawsuit. This is the hearing we've been kind of talking about for the last several months. It started with motions being exchanged, I think it was December 9th, and then a briefing cycle. So all the briefs have been in, so the court has seen the written arguments, but the March 26th is the time for hearing the lawyers making arguments on those motions. The motions are the federal government's motion to dismiss certain elements of the Richland Wilkin JPA's complaint, mostly kind of related to the fact that they're Minnesota claims and questioning whether the federal court would have subject matter jurisdiction over those claims. And then the other motion is from the JPA against the project, against the Diversion Authority and the Corps to stop, to ask for, while the case is pending, to have an injunction stopping principally the Oxbow Hickson Bocce construction. So that's so again, that's an interim injunction request by the JPA. So those are the motions that will be argued on the 26th. The argument is in front of Judge Thunheim, who's the assigned federal judge to this case. The arguments are held in federal district court in Minneapolis, 4th Street, I think it is. And so 10 o'clock in the morning is when the arguments are heard. If anyone would like to attend, you're welcome to contact me, and we certainly coordinate, whether it be transportation or coordinate with the Dorsey firm as far as communication either before or after the hearing. But that's it. Any questions? I'd be happy to field them.
Questions? Okay, thanks, Art.
Thank you.
John, were you going to walk us through the task orders?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have two task order amendments to present to you this afternoon, recommending for approval. Both are for the Houston Moore Group. One's for some additional H&H hydrology and hydraulic modeling work to some model recalibration, and also to support the NDSU Ag impact study. And the second one is for the incorporation of the El Zagle Phase 2 levee design work into the task order. Just want to toggle down one slide. I have just a short budget update slide here. Just wanted to summarize the total working budget of $224 million, encumbered and paid to date. We're at $99 million. This proposal for this month totals $280,000 under the design and permitting task. And so on that task, there's still about $8 million remaining on that budget, so we're well within that budget for that task. Just stepping back, the additional modeling and recalibration of the model, there's a portion of that work is for accounting for these additional culverts that were surveyed this winter and incorporated into the model. The work involves just recalibrating the models with those additional features in it. And then for the NDSU Ag impact study, that's just supporting that study with technical resources and the modeling work. And that total is $90,000 for Task Order 9, Amendment 13. And then for the El Zagle Phase 2 levee design, that work is part of the in-town levees work. Phase 1 El Zagle was designed and constructed last summer and fall. This design work extends that Phase 1 levee to high ground, and so this is for the design of that levee extension. AWD 47 was authorized for $50,000 several months ago, and this incorporates that AWD 47 into Task Order 13, Amendment 9.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm a little bit curious about the additional HEC-ROS modeling and recalibration to account for additional identified culverts. You know, I just really don't quite understand. I'm not suggesting I have any problem with any of this, but what's that mean?
What it means is, so, and I am not a modeling guru, but the model has different storage areas within the model, and the computer moves water in and out of those storage areas. With these additional culverts, the model was, they were able to take bigger storage areas and break them down into smaller storage areas. And these culverts are out in the real world and in the model are like the gates or the flow conduits between the storage areas, so they go in and resize the storage areas and say it's an 18-inch culvert, the model calculates how much water can flow through that at a given time. And after all of that's inputted into the model has to be calibrated to real-time data, and it kind of, it takes a little bit of effort to get it to run the proper way and to reflect, a real-time, either an existing flood or a synthetic 50 or 100 or 500-year flood. So there.
Okay, let me just interrupt here. What's the result of the work product? Once this is all done, what do you have?
You have a more accurate and detailed model that reflects more realistically what's happening in the staging area with respect to impacts to land in the staging area and depth of water.
Okay, so that's what this is tied to, is the structures that let water in and out of the staging area?
Or within the staging area.
Just the flow from one piece of ground to the other.
Brett, do you have a comment on it?
Yeah, if I can. Yeah, so as we went through, we did additional survey and got information on culverts for roads. Part of this process was to put those information in the model, the culverts, inverts, size of culverts, and then you go back and rerun the model to make sure it's responding like actual real-life kind of situation. So that was the purpose, and every time we go down, we're adding more information in the model. You have to go back and verify that it's still working like you thought.
But again, once this is all done,
Yep.
what do you have?
You have a model that better reflects actual conditions.
And when you have that, what do you do with it? I mean, I think the information is good. But
Right,
what do you use
right.
the information
And
for?
part of this information is NDSU is looking at some stuff with impacts to agriculture and duration and how long the water's on the land and stuff like that.
That's
This
precisely
information
what
is what is
It
used
gives you
for
the
that.
duration of how long water will stay on the land in a given event.
Right. And previously, I mean, our models weren't wrong before. It's just the level of detail. We're just going a little farther, adding more information in to the model.
Kevin?
Thank you.
Wouldn't it also help us better understand and make sure that the area of impacts that we've identified is correct?
Yes.
Mayor.
Chairman, and Brett, wasn't there some confusion at one time when the first NDS model came out? They thought the water was going to be on the land longer, so they had to have these in there to get that figured out.
Yeah, and what some of that was about is they went through and did it, and we found out, and we looked at some of the cells or the chunks of land they looked at, found out there wasn't culverts in the road crossings like there really was in real life. And so what was happening is the water was crossing over top of the road and sitting on the backside of the road. When the water went down, it just had to work its way through the soil profile, which isn't correct. It really would have had a culvert there. The water would have conveyed through the culvert to the other side, and so that duration would have been more characteristic of what we had anticipated.
That's better.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Good.
Mr. Chairman, I think
Yeah.
it's money well spent.
Any other comments? If not, we will take the roll.
Mr. Vania?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Otto?
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Next item is 6B. You have this information in your packet to kind of follow along. I'm going to ask maybe Jerry to just kind of cover this information in the packet, and then I understand Eric Jones from Houston Engineering is here that might help us understand better what this project is all about. I will also let you know that the Finance Committee addressed this request yesterday and felt that we would like to have the Retention Authority, Pat Downs, work with the Technical Advisory Group to come back to us with a recommendation on this, because we just want to know that, you know, kind of the request. This is, by the way, part of the $25 million for retention projects, and this is the first request that we've had in that regard. So I'll start out with Jerry providing some information.
All right, thank you, Chairman Vanio and board members. I won't get into any technical detail because I'm going to rely upon Mr. Eric Jones to provide that, but this is one of several projects that our board has been looking at, and this is one that seems to be, the opportunity is there, I think, to move forward on it perhaps in a fairly speedy manner, realizing in watershed world what speedy means. But we anticipate anyway that, this would go on. It's a project that will provide some significant storage, and I think with that, if you got any questions, I'd be glad to try and address them. But I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric and let him kind of bring the board up to speed on what this project is and what it will do. I think, is that where we're going up there, Eric?
We're working on loading the presentation, right?
Are there any questions otherwise that we might be able to answer while they're doing that?
As you see, the request is for $1.75 million with an initial amount of $87,000 to start it out. And again, I want to reiterate that I don't think we would necessarily ask for any action from this board except to maybe support the action taken by the Finance Committee that this be referred to the Retention Authority and the Technical Advisory Group, which is the engineers and so forth from all parties, that they would come back to us next month with their thoughts and recommendation.
Jerry, I have a question.
Go ahead, Roger.
Jerry, the outlet for this is the Red River. Is that correct?
The outlet is the Red River ultimately. This is at Georgetown. So as I recall, the commission, the study that they did was to base the amount of money that might be available for a project depended upon how much a hydrograph flow on a hydrograph would be reduced at Halstead or at Fargo. This, of course, would be Halstead. And that's what perhaps we'll be able to see here if they get it up and running, just what that might do to the hydrograph.
Okay.
It's about 6,500 acre feet of gated storage. Gated meaning you can hold that for a period of time until it's deemed that, the time to release it. When the flood water is down, then you can release it from that storage area. And the other thing about this project is it's built in 2 pools. And many times, one pool probably would not even need to be used. It would simply be only one of them. The other one, in the meantime, could be used for agricultural purposes. Eric, you're up and running? Okay. I'll turn it over to Mr. Eric Jones is our consulting engineer. He's with Houston Engineering and is the one who's been developing this project.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. Again, my name is Eric Jones. I work with Houston Engineering. I serve as the district engineer for the Buffalo Red River Watershed District. The project in particular is Stony Creek Flood Damage Reduction Project. Let's see if I can get this to work. Maybe it's hard to see it there, but here's Barnesville. The site would be located just on the west side of I-94, about 6 miles north and west of Barnesville. It would have about a 40 square mile drainage area. We're looking at 2 pools, and Jerry alluded to that a little bit. What shows on this map is we're calling Pool A this northern pool, and Pool B this southern pool. This is Clay County Ditch 31, or also known as Stony Creek. And water would go into both sides of this, on each side of the channel here, 2 off-channel storage sites. In total, about 6,500 acre feet of storage.
Where's Sabin on this picture?
Sabin would be almost straight west, probably about 10 miles.
Okay, and where's Downer?
Downer would be just north and basically almost straight north here, right up over here. Yeah. So we were looking at, like I said, about 6,500 acre-feet of storage. Max height of the embankments would be right around 17 feet tall. So we had a top of dam there at 958, so low areas within the pool are about 941. Any questions on that part of it? We'd be able to pull off, the thought is to pull most of the flow off of Stony Creek, either with some sort of overflow spillway up in this area here and here, or possibly even some sort of closure or restrictor on Stony Creek itself to force the water into the two sites.
So Eric, would that be less water through the city of Fargo?
It wouldn't be less water through the city of Fargo. It would, because the Buffalo River, this stuff goes to the Stony Creek, then Stony Creek goes to the south branch of the Buffalo, and then the south branch goes to the Buffalo, and the Buffalo dumps into the Red. And it would affect basically the Buffalo and the Cheyenne come in within about a mile of each other on the Red, and it would have reductions in flow north of Fargo.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kevin?
Yeah. The, when the flooding occurs from the Buffalo, say like in the northern part of Clay County,
Yeah.
across, it ends up going overland and ends up actually going across Highway 75
Yep.
and into the northern part of Clay County. So this would still be beneficial to the northern part of Clay County too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did do some hydrographs, and this is right at the site. Shows a pretty marked reduction of peak flow, 85%. And then we went downstream, at Sabin it was about 5%, at Dilworth and at Georgetown, which is at the mouth of the Buffalo River, it's about almost 3% there. So yeah, there would be a reduction of overland flooding within the watershed, within the Buffalo watershed itself.
And that gets into, even though it's really measured more appropriately on the Red River at the Halsted gauge,
Right.
there is still significant benefit to several land parcels.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's probably the first priority for the district, to try to address some of the local flooding concerns. And if there's a chance to be, to have a benefit on the Red, by all means. Yeah.
I'd like to see us get rid of some overland flooding.
Yeah, me too.
Ken?
So, I see in your report that you have identified what the gauge reduction is at Halsted, but what would it be at the Red where this dumps in? What would the benefit be? Can you extrapolate that?
Well, we'd have about a 3% reduction, 2 to 3% reduction
Of the Red or of the Buffalo?
of the Buffalo. Yeah.
And can you translate that into what it really means in river inches or CFS?
This project in itself would be fairly minor, hundredths of a foot. And then, of course, it all comes down to some of the timing on the Red as well. I guess the way that I look at it, this is kind of part of a multi-project approach that the watershed has. This would be one of potentially 10 to 15 sites that they would build over time.
And does this project give any benefit to Dilworth?
Not so much. The gauging station is referenced at Dilworth, but Dilworth is kind of on the other side of a ridge.
Okay.
It would have to be a fairly large event before Dilworth would benefit from this.
But it does give direct benefit to Georgetown
Yeah.
and the residential properties along the way
Yep. Correct.
and the farmland.
Correct.
Roger?
I just lost my train of thought. Did your request, did it follow the guidelines that we worked on through the Red River Basin Commission, and we worked?
Yeah, we
had a technical group that kind of got together and.
Yep, we ran it through
How was that?
Yep, we ran it through the thaw progression models and plug that into the unsteady model to determine what the impacts would be at Halsted. And so that's how we generated the $87,000 number, was based on what the modeling results were telling us.
And that also includes the 1.75 or 749, the maximum?
Yeah, so we came up with that total. It was 4,000 some odd acre feet taken out of the peak window of the hydrograph at Halsted. And that was taken times the $400 per acre foot to get the $1.7 million number that you see in there. And then the guidance was that 5% of that total could be used kind of as a phase 1 application, and that's what we're asking for at this point.
Just one last follow-up, but, Mr. Pollack, having been up there, in the flood of 2009, the minute you get to County Road 26, or right around 26, it's just solid water in all directions. So to me, this being just a small project of many, hopefully, from a basin-wide approach that we could do would be good. But I still think that could even benefit some of those far northern Cass County developments as well that are up along the river, that are just, for example, just across or north of Oakport Township. But I can't sit here and say to what degree it is, but it does all help.
Well, that's what I'm actually have been asking about, because I think that there's some benefits to the area where this flows into the red and where the diversion flows into the red. I mean, I think that there are some benefits to reducing the flows at that spot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to have that quantified so that.
Probably need the technical committee to do it. I mean, you're almost an engineer, but we probably have the technical committee.
Well, I don't know what the initials HEC-ROS stand for, so the people who know that are the ones who can figure this out.
It's what we depend on. To answer your question, it'll take a number of these projects to have a noticeable impact. Yeah. At least, of the scale of this. This project's 6,500 acre feet. I know that some of the studies south of town were talking 400,000 acre feet and having 1.6 or 1.7 feet of stage reduction. So, we're talking 6,500 acre feet, and that was 400,000. Now, you got to kind of, the way I look at it, you got to eat the elephant kind of one bite at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just with this being about 1.8 million and the 6,500 acre feet, how does that fit into the estimated cost? As we looked at the basin-wide retention model, we put a dollar value on what it costs to get that storage, and I don't know what that number is, but how does this compare to what the?
Yeah, in general, the number is kind of $1,000 per acre foot to about $2,500 per acre foot, depending on size of the project.
Is that what this is? Is that where this comes in?
Yeah, it'd be around $1,500 per acre foot.
Okay.
Any other questions? Nancy?
Just wondering, thus far, this is only in the study stage, and there's no property that has been purchased thus far?
No, about a month ago, we met with the landowners within the what would be the impoundment site to talk about the concept of the project. They gave us the go-ahead to do geotechnical investigation of the site, and to take it a little further down the road to see, how good the site would work from a soil standpoint.
If this project would proceed, would it require Minnesota EIS?
No.
Ken?
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
I move that we refer this concept to the Retention Authority and ask that they report back to us.
And the technical advisory.
And Technical Advisory Committee, yes.
I'll second the motion.
Dave, did you have a
David,
question?
okay.
that's all right.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm the rookie. He's the vet.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Eric. Next item, public outreach, Roger.
Chairman Vanu and committee members. The outreach team has hosted a booth at the North Dakota Water Expo in Bismarck in February. And also, the team has been working closely with area organizations that have flood protection as a top priority to provide information on the project and its funding needs as those organizations speak to legislators in North Dakota and Minnesota. North Dakota legislature, the session is going on. It has gone through crossover, and we're keeping tabs on several diversion-related bills in the North Dakota legislature, including Senate Bill 2020, which has passed the Senate, and that's the funding bill for the diversion. The bill includes $69 million for the diversion project and reaffirms the state commitment to the $450 million total. Buffalo Red Watershed District Communications. The Buffalo Water Resource District is currently considering the 2015 Diversion Authority budget. Representatives from Moorhead, Clay County, Cass County Joint Water Resource District, and the Diversion Authority were in attendance and spoke at a recent meeting where the budget was discussed. The district is scheduled to discuss the budget again on March 23rd. And finally, Clay County and the Mayor of Moorhead have sent letters in regards to the Diversion Authority budget to the district and other entities. Those letters are enclosed in this report for your information. And I'm going to call on Darren to give us an update on the e-newsletter and also the fmdiversion.com.
Good afternoon. We are working on the next newsletter, of course, which will go out sometime next week, we expect. And we're going to write about the informational meetings that are being held this month, the first of which, as Roger was telling you, was on Tuesday. We will be writing about how those meetings have been going and some of the discussions that have occurred as a result of those. We'll also update our readers about what happened in the North Dakota Senate last month, where there was unanimous vote of approval for funding for the diversion project. And regarding the website, we do have a special web address set up on fmdiversion.com for those who are looking for more information on the proposed assessment district. And that is, if you go to fmdiversion.com/assessment, it will take you right there. Assessment or assessments, either one will work. And we have a list of the meetings there. We have a breakdown of the information you need to know, and also all the documents on the web page there, and several videos. Actually, each video from each public meeting will be posted on that site.
Thanks, Darren. Any questions for Darren? I just want to, again, say that we had our assessment hearing, our public meeting on Tuesday evening, and it was held at the Holiday Inn, and we will continue the next 2 Tuesdays. The next one is going to be in Harwood. Starts at 5:30 with an open house and presentation afterwards. And then in 2 weeks, are the second Tuesday. I don't know what Tuesday is. It'd be the 3rd Tuesday in March. We will have a meeting in West Fargo at the Liberty School. And again, it will be information meeting for the public to understand and ask questions about the assessment process. And then on the last Tuesday in March, there'll be a hearing. It's an official hearing that that we have to hold because of state statute rules, and that will be in the Fargo Dome, and that will be an opportunity to present questions in a hearing format. And we will have a court reporter available recording everything that is asked and said at that meeting. And then also I want to, again, direct you to the fmdiversion.com, the assessment site. And I know we had not a very good turnout at our Fargo meeting Tuesday night. Probably had something to do with not having the assessment or the ballots out there yet. They were sent on Tuesday, so some are just getting those now. And I'm sure that will generate more public interest in what's going on. But I want to direct you to this website, and you can look at the presentation that we presented, and it will give you some really good information for the public that has not kept up with this, and maybe generate some questions for the next public meeting that you would attend. And then I want to ask Kevin Campbell to comment.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Yesterday at our outreach meeting, we also had some discussion about, it's been quite some time since we've had all 6 full entities get together to talk about this project. And, you know, in our outreach committee meeting yesterday, we felt that now would be an appropriate time to probably look at bringing all 6 full entities back together and talking about this. Several of the boards have new members on that have not been here, like you said, when you call some of us veterans at this, but there's several new people that probably could be updated on what's going on. And so we did talk about that, and I know we had a representative from Senator Hoven's office was there, and we would like to even have this be included by our federal delegations to be part of this. And so I think there's an ongoing effort to try to arrange that to happen, Mr. Chairman. I guess that's kind of what we'd like to see come out of this as well.
Yeah, quite honestly, had never given it some thought, but it has been years probably since everyone's been together. Dave?
Mr. Chairman, the main thing, so we have a city election on April 28th, so after that would be good because we'll have at least one new member of our commission.
We wouldn't be able to put it together before that, I don't think anyway. But that's something that I think came out of our board as an encouraging message that we should work on trying to do.
How would you like that coordinated, Kevin? I mean,
yeah, that
we can, and I'm
whether you as the Diversion Authority Board Chair can discuss it with our mayors, and also, you know what, I'd even like to see the governors of both states invited to this meeting as well.
well,
You get your governor, I'll get ours.
Well, we'll send them an invite.
Ken?
I think the way that we move this forward is we pick a date. And, you know, knowing that it might be subject to change, but let's pick a date and work towards that. Now, would it be appropriate to do this in lieu of, say, the May diversion meeting? This meeting in May? We don't know.
We certainly could do it. Your thoughts here?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think what we have to allow ourselves the time to talk to staff in ways to give presentations on the significant and important matters that are before us and updates on what this project is and what it does. And you know, we would certainly want the Corps to also to be there, but to you know, I don't know how much time, you know, it's the staff that's going to be the ones who are going to really be prepared to give us the important data to go forward.
I'm just kind of thinking here that it may be the same day, but it may be, you know, somewhere, because I don't know that we want to have everyone sitting in on all of these updates and all of that, or because there's probably, if we're going to have that group together, you're going to probably want to focus on something other than
It
our
should be
regular
independent
business.
of this.
Right. So we can look towards something either the same day in May or day before or after. Why don't we do this? I can work with the mayors and the commission chairs to kind of see what, get some input from them, and then we can work towards getting something out.
Could the outreach team just identify kind of what topics they want? I mean, is it the history or where we're at, or like a snapshot of what we're doing right now, or? Or
I think there's been
governance
a long
or-
time for a lot of people to understand the history of it as well. So I think
Okay.
there needs to be some discussion about going back to why are we doing this? What are,
Okay.
what are, and then where we are today and what are our challenges ahead of us? And I mean, just get it all out there for.
But you don't want us to go through all the meetings we've had every month since the time this
That would
started?
take a while.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. We'll work towards that. Roger?
Since on the watershed districts and maybe some of the county positions, there could be some farmers involved. May would be a difficult time for me. So June would be better. And also, we did pass it on to Jessica.
Yeah.
Senator Hovind's staff, and suggested to her. So we probably need to think about coordinating if they want to be involved. And I don't know, maybe they just make the invites or whatever, but we did suggest it to her, so.
Okay, we'll see what other thoughts that mayors and commission chairs have. And I
So
would think
if that's true, we might want to do it on a Friday, just so the congressional delegation can get back here in time for it, or to Monday. So just so the group knows that's might happen.
if we are aiming at June, then we have plenty of time, I think, to bring back to this board kind of a boilerplate of topics just to get your, you know, chance to add or change or what have you.
You know, in addition to having some prepared information for this group, I think it would also allow, for example, newly elected or newly appointed positions, people in these positions to ask questions as well. I think we need to open it up for a period where they can ask questions that might be of concern to them or that they simply don't know. I think we need that opportunity to, as a full group, to do that.
Excellent. Anything else, Roger?
No, that's it.
I would just like to comment with regard to the letters and the involvement of not only Nancy and Kevin of late, but certainly all of Clay County and Moorhead in the letters of support that you have before you. They're very much necessary and appreciated. So, thank you. Business Leaders Task Force, we don't have anyone here, I don't believe.
Mr.
for
Chairman, I just would like to thank the Chamber and the business for coming out, the State Legislative of North Dakota. As you know, the budget did pass unanimously to support the diversion, and in fact, they added more money to that. So I think that they've gotten the message, and I think our business leaders have done a nice job. The Chamber went out there one day and met with everybody as well, and we've had numerous people go out there for us, so we want to just say thanks to all those people who've done that. Thank you.
Okay, Land Management Committee. Couple of items we covered. Is Mark here? No, there. I'll let you go first, and then I'll fill in.
Start out with an apology. We didn't get the land management summary distributed for this group. We had copies distributed for the land management meeting earlier. We did get that. We will get it to Heather if it hasn't already, and it will get distributed to you by email. But I'll touch on a couple of high points. Appraisals are going better in Oxbow, Hicks, and Baki. We have gotten all the appraisals completed for the houses we need to buy there. And so they're either at the Corps for review or back from the Corps, and negotiations started. So that's kind of a milestone to finally see that moving better. We did close on, or didn't close, but we have a purchase agreement signed with Park East Apartments. and relocations are occurring. That apartment complex is 40 to 50% vacated already, and so that's going well. We hope to close on or before July 15th. So that's a big item that is moving along better. We have closed on another farmland purchase, an opportunistic acquisition, and we have a purchase agreement on another, and negotiations going on a third. So there is still some interest from farmers approaching us, or farmland owners approaching us to purchase when they're ready. So are there any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Another item that the Land Management Committee addressed was, if you may remember that some time ago when we started the purchase of property through hardship, medical health hardship cases, that initially we had some purchases as part of the Diversion Authority, and since that time, the various ag land and other hardship cases, it's been purchased through the Cass County Joint Water Resource District. As such, we've ended up with some property management that basically is with Cass County Joint Water Resource District, and some that's with us. The Caldwell Banker Property Management is the one that handles it. The Land Management Committee felt it would be cleaner and kind of a housekeeping issue, really, to put it all under Cass County Joint Water Resource District. So we did make that motion. I would entertain a motion from this group to support that, or to basically finalize that as a board. It doesn't change the contracts in terms of property management. It just indicates there's only one player instead of two dealing with what we own.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the land management be put under one house and it all be concentrated with Cass County Joint Water Resource District.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming that that has been agreed upon by both of those entities.
Yes. Good question, but yes. And yes, it has been.
Are you concerned about water boards right now, Kevin?
Not at all.
If there's no further questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Another item that, just kind of an FYI, as we progress with the various committees and the Ag Policy Committee, Roger brought to our attention the fact that of late, it's been difficult to have a quorum at the Ag Policy Subcommittee. And so they have taken action, Roger and Mark Askegaard, taken action to send letters out to those people that are part of that committee. I think it's 11 or 12 members, basically asking them, do you wish to be on the committee or not, for lack of attendance, and gave them a deadline to respond. And I guess if we, from there, the option would be to try and fill those positions, or just go with a smaller number, one or the other. I would ask if anybody here knows of somebody, so that they might give the names to Roger of who would be good candidates for that, if you find yourself 3 or 4 short or something, that you get in contact with Roger. Anything further on that, Roger?
No.
Okay. Any questions? It's just an FYI discussion. Okay. That concludes land management. Finance. Mike?
Good afternoon. Finance met yesterday, and we had kind of a busy schedule. Quite a few items that we had to discuss, but not a lot that we have to bring back to this board. On the revenue side, this year we've got revenues of $12 million. And just want to remind you that the diversion itself does not hold any cash. what happens is Fargo pays the bills, and then they turn around and they bill other entities that reimburse them. So a total of $92 million has been spent or has been received since 2011 for the diversion project. About $93 million has been spent, and the difference between the revenues and expenditures are simply some timing differences as Fargo bills us out and we get it paid. So most of the expense so far this year has been on land acquisitions. Our budget of $224 million, we've spent $28 million. We have $70 million in outstanding encumbrances. Those are contracts that have been let that haven't been paid yet. So we have a budget balance of $125 million through September 30th. Yeah. And again, most of the money that has been spent so far has been on land acquisitions. Kind of the state aid summary. The state of North Dakota has allocated $175 million so far. We have another $69 million in the hopper for this year that hopefully will get approved. We've been reimbursed $65 million for expenses both on flood projects in Fargo, Cass County, and then for the Diversion Authority. And so we have a remaining balance of about $110 million. In-town work that the Diversion Authority has been doing, and that's costs that are shared between Fargo, Cass, and of course the state and others. Contracts have been let for $39 million, and amount paid has been a little over $3 million, $3.3 million. If you recall, last summer we did take out a loan with the U.S. Bank. The county borrowed $50 million, and we've been paying all the expenses since August out of that fund. We've drawn down $45 million. We have spent $28.5 million out of that, leaving us with cash on hand of $16.6, and that's cash at the county. And we still have $4.9 million that we can draw down, leaving us a current balance of about $21 million out of that $50 million. It sounds like a lot of money, but in looking at Mark's land summary report and what we're going to be spending over the next several months, we see where that cash is going to go pretty fast. So another thing that the Finance Committee did is we looked at the second phase of the U.S. Bank loan. When we took proposals for loans last year, we asked for a $100 million commitment. The agreement was that the county would borrow the original $50 million, which we did, and then the agreement called for the city of Fargo to take out the second phase loan for about $50 million. Last year it took us probably 2.5, 3 months to get all the loan documents together and get all the approvals and get through U.S. Bank's credit approval. So we've decided that we need to start that process now for this next $50 million. We have had some discussions already with U.S. Bank, and they're going to their credit committee later this month. So we'll have that well underway, and we'll be bringing that back to the board as that progresses. The other big topic that we discussed was special assessments, and we've been putting all the emphasis on getting the district kind of set up and how we're going to spread those specials and in the public hearings and everything. But now we need to start looking at, okay, when the water district levies or sells some bonds, what's the agreements, the intergovernmental agreements between the city, the county, and the joint water resource district on how we're going to back those bonds with the sales tax. So there's a lot of agreements that need to be written. Some of them are going to be patterned, I think, probably after the agreements that we put together when we did the U.S. Bank loan. But there's some things that we just need to kind of work through on a staff basis before we bring it back to you. So Kent Costin, Mr. Shockley, and myself will meet next week, and we'll start working on those types of things. you know, one of the things we want to deal with is the dedication of the sales tax monies. The what if the sales tax money doesn't cover the payments in a year, we would want to know that well in advance and figure out how to handle that. Just kind of those, we think we have it all covered, but it's all those what ifs. HMG rate schedule. We received a new rate schedule from HMG to take effect April 1st. We kind of looked at the schedule, discussed it, but we really didn't have any comparative data. So we asked Keith Burnt to come back to us at the next meeting with some additional information. U.S. Army Corps of Engineer funding request. We received a funding request for FY15, which is this year, and 16, which is next year. Their request is for $1.8 million for contract work. I actually had to look up that geomorphology, figure out what that was. The Finance Committee was recommending at this time $900,000 for the cultural resource part of that contract. And some of that, it has to be done. It's whether or not we do it or the Corps does it. And I guess what we're recommending is that we allocate $900,000 to the Corps over that 2-year period for them to do that contract work. And I think we would need a motion on that in order to go ahead with that.
Yeah, let's address that right now. If you have any questions on that, now's the time to raise them. The Finance Committee, as Mike indicated, did approve $900,000 from that original request. Any comments or questions?
What's geomorphology?
I'm glad you asked.
I looked it up, so I know.
Study of gas?
No. It is a study of the streams and rivers and corridors and how it changes over time, how the energy is maybe dissipated and how that changes. And we did a first round of geomorphology at various spots within the project with cross sections, took cross sections and stuff like that. The process is then come back at a later date, do the cross sections again, to see if the streams moved and how much they moved. Part of that, the geomorphology and the fish monitoring are both to set baselines for us. So as the project is built and implemented, if there's changes, to know how much change there is normally in the system, and then if there's changes once the project comes in, we know what we'd be responsible for, we collectively to mitigate into the future.
So if we give you the $900,000, then you'll have $5 or $6 million for us next year. Is that right?
No comment. Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the request for $900,000 to go to the U.S. Army Corps be approved for cultural resources.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I got a question.
Roger.
Well, didn't they actually ask for more than 900 or not? Am I,
Try not to look at it too closely. Yes, they did, but the Finance Committee recommended
so
we
that
come in at the 900.
motion maybe should be the finance will okay the Finance Committee's recommendation and not the request from the Corps? Is that right or not?
That's what his motion was. It's not what
Okay.
that totals. It's 900.
I thought we had it covered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Vaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Otto?
Yes.
The second part of the Corps request was for $3 million for work that they would do, in contrast with the earlier thing, which was a contract that they would let. This is to support the Oxbow, Hicks, and Bakke areas, in-town levies, the Minnesota DNR EIS report, support from the Real Estate Division of the Corps, staging mitigation team, design work on diversion inlet, reviews, and other support items. The Finance Committee did not take any action on this part of their request. And I think Brett had some comments on this, or some
Yeah,
further
I
information?
just wanted to highlight what we're asking for. Again, that $3 million was for the rest of the fiscal year 15 and 16. You know, right now, we still have funds that we're using now. This was just to provide a back support if we needed the funds into the future, and give our sponsors kind of a heads up on what we're thinking. We're still waiting on final word on the work plan. As you remember, we weren't in there the first cut of that. We're working to see if there's a possibility we could still get some funds out of that, and that would alleviate some of this concern into the next couple of years.
Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, by the Finance Committee taking no action on it or no recommendation on it, my question and concern of those topics right now, of course, is the one it's been ongoing, and I think the Corps is playing a significant role in working with the Minnesota DNR on the EIS, and I want to be assured that that's going to continue, because we got a lot of folks really waiting for that EIS study to come out.
Right. Our intention is to keep working on that list that you see up there, keep working on those issues. Again, currently, we have the funding in place to support that.
All right.
It's, again, it's kind of thinking ahead of times if things we don't get additional federal funds. These are the type of efforts we need, you know, support in to keep going.
I would assume if those funds were running short right now, you would be letting us know.
That is correct.
Ken?
That's much on the nature of my comment is, we have the nimbleness to act on the request should it come through the Finance Committee, and it would if you foresaw the need. The communication would allow us to
That's
move.
very much what went behind what the Finance Committee did. It's a timing issue.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to be sure that we fully stood behind that work that needs to be done to get that EIS done. That's
Correct.
That's important.
Absolutely.
We do have $525 million in the budget from last year still that we haven't given to the Corps, so.
525,000.
525,000,
Yeah.
sorry.
I was kind of wondering where you're coming up with the 500 million, but.
Brett will be doing cartwheels there.
County manufacturing money out there?
The other thing you already discussed, the Stony Creek project. We just felt it wasn't right for the Finance Committee at this time and wanted to recommend that it go to a technical review committee, so. Land acquisition directive, we did approve a directive yesterday for 3 properties located in the staging area. These are all people who want to sell their homes and most likely relocate into the city of Oxbow. So it's kind of a process where they'll start the appraisal process on these 3 homes.
I think this one too, Mike, it was our recommendation by that motion to start that process and working towards the purchase. So I think because of the nature of the finances and so forth, I would like this board to weigh in with their agreement by approving that.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything further, Ken?
I think just so that everyone knows, we talked about this yesterday in outreach, and a number of spaces were set aside in the Oxbow development area that was over and above what the requests were, so that there was space for those people to move into. And so these were people in the staging area who are impacted who said, yes, we want to move. And there's others that said maybe, and there's others that said no. And I expect as this process continues, the maybes will turn into more yeses, and the nos perhaps will turn into maybes as this moves forward and people see the progress in the development take place.
Okay, if there's Nothing further, we'll take the roll.
Mr. Vaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Otto?
Yes.
And then the last item is the finance bills. These are for non-contracted services that aren't on a fixed contract. Total $137,325.55.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Take the roll, please.
Mr. Vaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Thorsted?
Yes.
Mr. Olson?
Yes.
Dr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Ms. Otto?
Yes.
Do we have any other business to come before us?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Next meeting is April 9th.